Why do you crave the one who hurts you the most? Why does peace feel boring and chaos feel like love? Why does your heart race around someone who pulls away and goes silent with the ones who stay? You've been told that love is supposed to be intense, that butterflies mean something magical is happening, that longing is proof of passion, and that aching is a form of devotion. But what if I told you the pain you call love is actually a memory? A memory stored not in your mind, but in your nervous system. A memory of what it felt like to be a child, waiting to be held by someone who couldn't meet your needs. Longing for affection from someone who gave it on conditions. Learning to equate love with anxiety, inconsistency, and the terrifying silence of emotional absence. This is not your fault, but now it is your healing. Because what you've been calling chemistry may actually be a trauma bond. What you thought was destiny may be your attachment wound in disguise. This is the story of why unsafe love feels familiar and how to finally break the cycle, so you can learn to love from a place of wholeness, not survival. Welcome to the awakening. Why do you crave the one who hurts you the most? Why does peace feel like boredom and chaos feel like passion? Why do you miss the one who never truly saw you, but feel numb around someone who's ready to love you well? This is the paradox of unsafe love. It doesn't begin in adulthood. It begins in childhood. Love to a child is oxygen. You don't question it. You don't evaluate whether it's healthy. You just adapt to whatever you're given. And if love came with anxiety, you learn to associate that anxiety with affection. If love came through silence, criticism, or distance, your body started believing that this is what connection feels like. So later in life, when someone shows up with the same energy, unpredictable, hot and cold, magnetic but inconsistent, it doesn't feel like a red flag. It feels like home. That's the hidden danger. You chase the intensity, not because you're broken, but because your nervous system was trained to survive on emotional crumbs. You weren't shown how to feel safe in love. You were shown how to earn it. And that conditioning becomes your compass. You crave the unavailable. You fear what's secure. You confuse calm for disinterest and interpret tension as attraction. The trauma becomes the chemistry. The attachment blueprint. We all carry an invisible blueprint, the emotional architecture of how we learn to relate to love. It's written by our earliest experiences, not with romance, but with caregivers. If you had to walk on eggshells, if love was earned through performance, if affection was unpredictable, withheld, or conditional, your blueprint was formed in uncertainty. And so, as an adult, you'll unconsciously seek what feels familiar, even if it hurts. It's not because you're weak. It's because your body is loyal to what it knows. This is how trauma disguises itself as chemistry. Not because the other person is good for you, but because they activate your wound. They mirror the emotional landscape of the people who wounded you, so loving them feels like a second chance to finally get it right. But this is not a love story. This is a trauma reenactment. The trauma bond, why you stay. You say you want love, but your nervous system is still bracing for abandonment. You say you want peace, but your heart is addicted to the roller coaster. This is the cycle of the trauma bond. And it's more than emotional, it's biochemical. Inconsistent love creates a powerful high-low pattern in your brain. The silence triggers panic. The breadcrumb of attention soothes it. And like any addiction, the more pain you endure, the more your body craves the next dopamine hit of affection. This cycle traps you in longing. It keeps you chasing closure. It keeps you hooked not by love, but by the hope that one day the pain will finally stop. But here's the truth. That hope is not about them. It's about the part of you still trying to heal the original wound. The child in you who still believes, if I love them enough, they'll finally stay. If I prove my worth, they'll finally see me. But they won't, because it was never about your worth. It was about their limitations. And you are not here to repeat your past. You are here to heal it. The inner child and the abandonment wound. Inside every adult who stays in unsafe love is a child who learned that love means waiting. Love means shrinking. Love means trying harder. You didn't choose this wound. It was given to you. Maybe you were loved inconsistently. Or maybe you were neglected altogether. Maybe your parents did the best they could, but their best still left you lonely. And so you grew up with a quiet ache, a question that never fully left your body. Am I too much to love? Or not enough to keep? Now every time someone pulls away, that ache returns. Every time someone withdraws affection, your worth comes into question. This is the abandonment wound, and it's not just emotional, it's somatic. Your body remembers what it felt like to be left. Be sidum, even before you had the words to explain it. So when you're with someone who activates that wound, it can feel like destiny, like your soul is on fire. But it's not love. It's the resurfacing of an unmet need. And no partner can heal the wound they didn't cause. Only you can, breaking the cycle, choosing healing over intensity. Healing begins the moment you realize intensity is not intimacy, and anxiety is not love. You've been conditioned to believe that if love doesn't hurt, it isn't real. But love that requires you to betray yourself is not love, it's a trauma response. So how do you break the cycle? First, you learn to sit with the discomfort of calm. You teach your nervous system that safety is not boring, it's sacred. That slow is not unloving, it's trustworthy. Second, you learn to identify what your body has called chemistry, and you begin to question it. Ask yourself, do I feel seen? Do I feel safe? Do I feel like I can be all of me here, not just the palatable parts? And if the answer is no, you walk away, not because you don't care, but because you finally do. Because now, you choose peace over potential. You choose truth over tension. You choose yourself. Not because someone else validated your worth, but because you remembered it. What love feels like after healing. Real love. The kind that heals instead of harms. It won't leave you guessing. It won't spike your cortisol. It won't make you feel like you're too much or not enough. Real love feels like exhale, like your nervous system softening instead of bracing, like your soul saying, I can rest here. You won't have to chase it, or shrink for it, or bleed to keep it alive. Because when you heal the part of you that confused love with fear, you no longer mistake survival for connection. You no longer stay to be chosen. You choose yourself first, and from that place of self-rootedness, you attract a love that doesn't trigger your wounds, but honors your wholeness. The return to self. Maybe the greatest love story is not about someone finally staying. Maybe it's about you finally coming home, to yourself, to the parts of you that were once silenced, to the child who still longs to be held, to the woman or man who has always been worthy, even in their brokenness. Love is not supposed to feel like chasing, or proving, or constantly hurting. It's supposed to feel like truth, like safety, like home, not the one that hurt you, but the one you create within. And when you choose that, you don't settle for love that wounds. You rise for the love that heals. You don't repeat the past. You rewrite it.